Last time, we pulled every crop we could out of the ground, all 4 fields of wheat, a few acres of rapeseed, and we pumped a lot of time and effort into accomplishing this. Although we didn't get a chance to fill the silos, we at least filled up the chicken coop and it's now ready to house a flock or 2. We've sacrificed a cow shed to make room for some sheep, but we still need to work on filling that feeder. And we accomplished all of this with equipment that should have been retired 10 years ago. This was just the beginning of our journey, but the road ahead is still long and it's still full of obstacles. So to start ourselves off in September, we're going to have to jump in the Massey Ferguson and go down to the store because we do need to purchase ourselves a mower. Now we do not have the biggest tractor on the market, so we are going to have to buy some small equipment to go with it, which kinda sucks because the weather is not on our side this month. And now that we've arrived at the store, we do need to look for a mower that is suitable for this tractor. And I think this Pottinger mower will be absolutely perfect for the job. Now driving up to the farm has been a bit problematic because our tractor is currently doing wheelies, which means we've overestimated the weight of this mower. So we're going to need to counterbalance this with a front weight, so we're just going to fix one of them to it and we'll get down to the field. And now that we're at the field, let's go ahead and get this grass cut because we desperately need this for the sheep. And after what felt like an eternity, we finally got the grass mowed, so we can now get it ready for baling, so let's prepare the fields. Now, we're not out of the woodwork just yet because we've still got a lot of equipment to buy, because we're going to have to neaten up the field so it's easier to bale, because we have a very narrow width in our baler. So what do we need to do with that? Well, of course, it's going to be a windrow. Now, thankfully, windrows don't have a high horsepower capacity, so we can get a pretty decent sized windrow, and then we're going to get a decent sized baler to go with it. Pulling into the shop, we was quite amazed by the selection of windrows they had available, everything from tiny to large. Now, the Crone Swadrow was very tempting, but £60,000 for a nearly 10 metre working width was disgraceful when you could get an 8 metre working width for a third of the price. So we went for the Samas, and we're going to roll with that one. So let's unfold this beast and see what it's made of. With the grass fields prepared for baling, we can now move our attention over to the straw. Since we have a lot of swaths on the field, this windrow will come in handy to make baling a hell of a lot easier than what it would be if we didn't. Using a rake on these fields was an absolute stroke of genius. Not only do we have less lines to run through, but we're also going to get bales at a quicker rate too, so it's a win-win for the farm. Well, we've not got many hours of daylight left, so I think this would be a nice time to just do some maintenance on the tractor, clean up some of the equipment, and then settle down for a nice peaceful evening before the chaos ensues again tomorrow. After a full night's sleep, it was time to get ready for another busy day ahead. So we do have some chickens now, and the delivery guy must have just dropped them off while I was asleep in bed. But it's now 8 AM and we've got to go to the shop and buy ourselves a baler, and I'm not too sure what shape or size I'm going to go for yet. I've still got to be mindful of the horsepower of this tractor, but I'm hoping that there is a little bit of give. So let's have a look at what variety they have and how much it's going to cost us. Right, so now that we've arrived at the shop, we're going to have a look at what bales they've got available to us. And we're going to have a look at the square bales. Now, these look very, very big, and I don't think that my Massey Ferguson's going to handle any of these bigger ones. And the smaller one only does tiny bales. So we're probably going to go with round bales. The horsepower seems to be more fulfilling. And this Viking fast bale, a fast bale, keys in the name. I reckon we should get that one. It's in our budget. Requires 150 horsepower. Might struggle. But it looks quite small, so we could probably go with that one. Let's just change the colour of the wrap, going black. So there we are, £111,000. Not the worst investment. And with horsepower not being on our side, will this little dinky Massey be able to pull the Viking fast bale? And it turns out she can do it quite easily. So now that she's proven herself to have some pulling force, let's turn on this baler and start producing bales, and let's see how well she does with this. And with the odds stacked against my little old Massey, it actually managed to pull the baler and actually produce some bales. So let's get these jobs finished. So as we get to our third field, we realise that the horsepower is actually becoming an issue now, because this tractor, although it's been a power horse, it's struggling to get to the top of this hill. And when time is against you, we need to be up there as soon as possible. So I think it's time to consider an upgrade. Many times as we have been here before, we are back at the shop yet again. But this time, we're looking for a tractor. Now, there's nothing clear in the second-hand market, so there's not much that we can get from there. I mean, the 7R is looking promising, but £253,000 for all of that. I mean, you get what? 400 horsepower? Not really worth it. So yeah, the second-hand market's not really promising as much. So let's buy something new. We've got to go around about the medium tractors category. And I'm kind of wishing that I bought the McCormick when it was on the second-hand market, but I mean, we could buy a Class Axiom. That looks decent. It's only £185,000. But I think, I don't know, £68 for that. 68,000. 175 horses. It would be more than adequate, but it's quite old. I think I've made my choice. And coming up to the farm, weighing 11,000 kilograms in weight, the Big Red Machine, with 310 horsepower as well. I think this is going to be an absolute staple for this farm, and it's going to do the baling really well, but it has put me £350,000 in debt. Why is farming so expensive? Although it was nice to see the tractor doing things quite easily, was it really worth getting £350,000 worth of debt on our head? Absolutely. So with all the baling now finished, we have but one more job to do, and that is pick the bales up off the field. So now we're in our favourite spot again. We're going to get a front loader for our tractor. So we need the quickie one because that's the one that we've got. I'm just going to change the colour so it matches the actual machine that's using it. And then I'm going to get myself a pallet fork because they're always handy, and a bale spike with it. And then to top it off, we're going to need a flatbed. And I think this agro liner would be perfect, or cargo liner. And then while I'm here, I might as well get some seeds ready for planting. Now I'm looking for oilseed radish seeds, as well as some wheat seeds. So there we are, we probably need around about 2 big bags, because they don't have a high planting rate. Followed by some wheat seeds. I probably need around about 4 bags of these. Or maybe 8. And I think that's all we need. Now, I was going to retire this Massey Ferguson and trade it in, but I think with it having front loader capabilities, it'd be cheaper to just use this for baling. So let's connect him up. And let's put the bale spike on the... We'll put the bale spike on the trailer. And then we'll drive the pallet fork over. But we are just going to put the big bags inside this trailer. And with all the goods loaded up, we can finally make our way down to the farm, because we've got a busy evening ahead of us. So with the trailer emptied again, we can now begin to load it up with some grass bales. I wanted to start with the grass bales first because we do need food for the sheep, so we want to get that in as soon as possible. And that's the last of the grass bales, finally. It's getting dark now, so I think we'll just load them all into the sheep pasture, and then we'll call it a night. Well, I have made an absolute mess of this. What should have been a very simple job has turned into an absolute chaotic amount of mess. So we managed to persevere through the mess, and we got all the grass bales inside the pasture. But I'm not looking very hopeful to the straw bales, because we've got 51 of those. We only had about 20 grass bales. So here's to a fun tomorrow. And today we opted for cheap fertilizer, and in order to do that we opted for oilseed radish. We've got this direct drill seeder which will help us to achieve this. So we're just going to go ahead and plant oilseed radish on every single field that we've harvested, besides the grass one, for obvious reasons. We are then going to cultivate this back into the ground once it's grown next month. But it's just going to be a very, very long-winded task. Planting now finished on the grain side. It means we can start doing the canola field. It's taken up the majority of the day doing this. One thing I neglected to tell you was that we did end up purchasing a mechanical bale loader. Now, we're going to pick up the bales from the rapeseed field, and that's just so we can actually plant some oilseed. And now with the bales finally collected, we can now move on to planting the fertilizer. It's getting quite late. And while things were going well for the most part, we did end up running out of seeds. Now normally this wouldn't be a problem, but it is currently 6 PM and the shop closes at 5 PM, which means we're going to waste an entire evening of farming because we did not buy enough seeds. But on the plus side, we have sheep. So it looks like all operations have been rained off today, and it's forecast rain all day, like it's just not going to stop. So that means we can't do any farming today. But we can use this time to buy ourselves a cultivator, buy some more oilseed radish big bags and bring them all over, and then just tidy the yard up a little bit. And as the farm plummets into darkness, we have done not much productive today. Here's to a brighter tomorrow. Last day of September upon us. We've only got really one more job left to do, and that is finish off putting that the oilseed into the field. This is going to take forever, and we've only got until 2 PM, and that's when the rain starts pouring. So we're going to complete the mammoth task of planting the rest of this rapeseed, and hopefully time will be on our side. And after approximately 5 minutes, we were finally finished. That's all the job's done in September. So we're just going to go ahead and put away our equipment, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.